F starring Warren. Action.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Welcome to Platform F. I'm with Warren today.
Hi, everyone.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Thank you for joining this chat.
Yeah,
I'm very excited to talk to you.
me too. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. And we have Marc and Maddie disturbing us, having bananas. Warren, how long have you been in Melbourne and where were you before that?
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in Canada, as per this accent that I got. And I've been in Canada for most of my life. And I've been in Melbourne for the almost last 3 years. Yeah.
How was the life how was the move and the life in Melbourne so far?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been a little bit different from what I'm used to, if you can imagine. Just being in a new country is always a bit of a change for sure. Yeah, but I think I think the older you get, the more you realize the type of person you want to be. So Melbourne's been a really good time for me because I'm being the person I want to be right now at the stage, and I'm happy to be in a city that allows me to do that.
Did you find it different now living here compared to living in Canada and having people around you?
Yes and no. I think I'm a pretty adventurous person, so I like to be on my own a lot. So I didn't really have a big community when I was living before, but I did notice the last city I lived in before Melbourne was Toronto, and Toronto's a big, really big immigrant community and a lot of different colors and faces. When it came to Melbourne, I just thought it's a really white city. It's a big city, but it's a white city. So I had to learn to almost reevaluate how I localize myself here, which was pretty interesting. Yeah.
Warren, when you moved to Melbourne and when you moved to Toronto,
Yeah.
what do you do to meet people that you want to hang around with?
Yeah, I think it's also knowing what you want to do when you're in a new city, right? So it's very easy, to bring up your phone and just see, okay, who's on this grid or this app or whatever you're doing, just to start it off. But I try to be really purposeful in my first year. So I say yes to everything when I'm invited out to things. That's a big one for me. And then also knowing that not every friend I have will be my friend forever. So it's, oh, okay, I'm happy to spend 2 or 3 hangouts with you, but if things don't continue on, I won't be heartbroken and play victim like, oh, I can't make friends in this new city. It's more of a just keep trying, and no, there's not really a silver bullet. But when I moved to Melbourne, I noticed, so I was 33 when I moved here, and was really just focused on trying to be friends in groups of people instead of doing one-on-ones. Because noticing I had a lot of individual relationships with people in Toronto, but I didn't really know how to bring them all together. So when I came here, I tried to be really purposeful with going to events with groups of people and joining teams when it came to sports, and not just doing like a badminton type of thing where it was one-on-one. I would try to be really purposeful with that, so I could make the type of community that I wanted to build, as opposed to just a lot of one-on-ones and assuming over time that would be my community. I wanted to be very judicious with that.
I lived in Darwin before Melbourne.
Yeah.
But it was a smaller place and I found it very easy to meet people. When I moved to Melbourne, it was quite the opposite because it's a big city, people are busy, everything takes time, even to get to somewhere takes half an hour.
Yeah.
I found it challenging at the beginning, but then I think I did some of the stuff that you were mentioning as well, and things became easier. Did you find it difficult when you were living in Toronto or now in Melbourne? Was it different?
Mindset's a big difference. I think before I wanted to be validated, and I think here I just want to be seen. There's a bit of a difference. Validated was I want people to say, oh, I love hanging out with Warren. We have to invite him out for everything. I think I wanted to be popular. And I think when I came here, I didn't want to be popular. I just wanted to be more myself. And I didn't try as hard. And surprisingly, that made me more popular. How about that,
That's
right?
good.
Yeah. So I don't want to say I am a popular person. That's a little bit, I wouldn't call that. But there's something about people who really respect authenticity. And so as long as I'm able to live that way, then it makes it a bit easier. So if you can imagine, and I think you have these moments too, sometimes you don't want to be social at all.
Yeah.
So I'll go off the grid physically, and it makes it easier just to, take a beat for myself. So that when I do come back to community, I can come back as the self I want to be, which is great.
So, did you do anything different to be more authentic when you're in Melbourne compared to the life in Toronto?
Yeah, I think I was better at saying no to things that I didn't want to do.
Hmm.
Because before I'd always say yes to everything, probably things that didn't make me feel comfortable. And then I think when I came here, I started to explore what made me smile, and started inviting other people to things that make me smile. So yeah, I found that was really a really great way to build community, is just being authentic to myself, and that really effervesces with other people, right?
Yeah. Being authentic and also having those boundaries and
Yeah.
knowing when and what to say no to. I think that's important, and that's how I learn.
Well, think about how difficult it is to be yourself. So when you are yourself and when you have pride in who you are, and not just being pride in being queer, but just in really who you are as a person, it's an attractive quality, right?
Yeah, 100%
Yeah,
agree.
and we're attractive people, so obviously we've got to be ourselves, right? Yeah, you guys got it. Yeah.
Was it challenging when you moved to cities again and again and try to find people? In terms of your mental health, how was that affecting?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like you don't know what your brain is going to do. And I think that was the hard thing, because I thought, oh, I've moved from cities more than a couple of times. I'm sure I can handle it. The Melbourne one was really difficult, was more than I was expecting. I think a little bit of it was just time in my life, which is because I moved here for work. My job moved me here. And I thought, okay, my career is just going to take off just how it did in every other city. And here it just took a different story. So I think just when that happened, I didn't really know what to do. And yeah, I felt for about a year and a half, I was a lot more lost than I was expecting. So I would party more, a lot more than I ever did before. Yeah, and I was aging. I wasn't used to getting all the grays and losing my hair the way that I once did, and getting my wrinkles. Like, oh no, I'm ugly and I'm drunk and I can't, and I'm not working the way that I want to. Like it was, and I just kept on judging myself so harshly. So my first year and a half wasn't ideal. And yeah, that affects your mental health for sure. But there's always looking through it and just knowing that things are going to get better. And the people that I did meet here throughout my messy time were the same people that lifted me up when I was ready to listen to them and be around them, and find my authenticity again.
Did you have any help other than these friends to go through that?
The first practitioner I got, the first professional I had in my life here was a therapist. So during lockdowns in Toronto, I had a therapist, and then here, before I found a GP or went for STI tests, I got a therapist. So I've been with my therapist probably since the first month I've been here, which has been great. So, and that's really helped me. It helps me check in on myself, which is good.
I'm very vocal about mental health and having issues and getting support. I think that's something that we need to talk. There's this whole thing around men doesn't talk about their feelings, and that's how I grew up. At least, like, no, we don't talk about feelings, we don't cry, and I think I see a lot of people who still live those values they grew up with.
Yeah, right.
And I think it's important to talk about it and get support when you need it. There's a lot of support available. We are living in a very great country.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
a lot of support.
Yeah.
For anyone who's not comfortable to talk about their feelings, ask for support from a therapist or from a friend.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah. So I was definitely one of those people before, right? So I think I just noticed that I judged myself a lot, which is, I being engendered as a man, I don't really have the opportunity to say it's okay to talk about your feelings. Not even that other people are going to judge me, but I was judging me a lot of the time. So I'm like, no one wants to hear me. No one wants to hear me blither on, and complaining is not making the world get any better. And so I just felt like there was no point in it, but also I just kept it all to myself. So I felt the best way for me was just to start journaling was the easiest way. So I had a Microsoft Word document, and I would just type my feelings in often when I was at work and just get a paragraph or two out just to give me almost the mouthfeel, as it were, of like this is how it's like to write and to use words to describe how I'm feeling. Often I was using words to describe what I was thinking, but not how I was feeling. So then once I got into the habit of that, it was a lot easier to bring it into conversation for my friends. And then when I was comfortable to talk to a therapist about it, because I knew what I wanted to address. And I think when I knew what my feelings were and where I wanted them to go, it was easier to articulate to a therapist. I think before I was given recommendations like you should see a therapist, and I'd say, "How dare you judge me? What's wrong with you?" Right? It's like I'm perfect,
Yeah.
but how dare you? Like you're the one who's wrong. But then I think at some point I said, it's good advice. I'm not ready to hear it yet.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a process I had to go through myself before I could talk to others, which was just not to judge myself. And I was raised. I mean, we're both very similar that we were raised in brown families.
Yeah.
And I think being raised in a brown family, you learn to achieve and you learn how to succeed, and you're given a lot of tools for it, but you're not given tools on how to deal with failure. And I think that's a process I had to go through on my own was how do I deal with failure? How do I feel things? How do I know what a good versus a bad feeling looks like and how to process that? So I had to do parts of it on my own before I started spending the money for professional help, right? Because it is also a bit of a financial investment.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do a lot of it on my own first to make sense of it.
Growing up in Sri Lanka, we don't talk about feelings. Exactly. I understand what you're saying. It's all about success and, being financially successful or any other way, being successful. And you just like undermine everything else happening around.
Oh,
so if there's a problem, just face it and then go through it. But I did not learn how to go through it.
Right. And because there's this concept of being resilient.
Yeah, but how?
How do you do it? Because when you're in it, you don't know if you're being resilient. You could just be surviving whatever you're given, right? And especially if you're raised with a certain level of privilege, you don't know how to process things when things do go poorly. That's terrifying, right? And if your families or communities, when you're young, don't teach you how to process failure, it gets a lot tougher when you're older. So I think it was during lockdowns I had to really learn how to process all sorts of things that I thought were failures in my life. And through my mental health journey, it's not so much about that I'm a better person on the other side of it, but just more that I have more tools to not be in a bad place. And that's worth the cash.
I'm glad you spoke about journaling things, which I do all the time. My phone is full of notes about things, how I feel. But I did not know that until I actually go to a therapist as well, because my therapist suggested me to do that. And this is a classic example of me not knowing how to process my feelings. And then a simple thing as just write it down and then read about it and then bring it to the next session. We can talk about it. And that changed everything for me.
Yeah.
But before I actually spoke, before I spoke to a professional, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, right.
And it was expensive, that, professional counseling or therapy was expensive for me at that time, but I really wanted to look at it as an investment for me.
Yeah.
And I did it. But now I'm learning that there's a lot of free services available, subsidized services available. So there's a lot of support available here for us to receive, anything we want. And I'm very glad it's there.
Yeah.
But when I started years ago, I didn't know, or I didn't have access to these services. So it was mostly like out of pocket.
Yeah.
But I do not regret that at all,
Mhm.
because I thought of it as a personal investment.
Yeah.
Like, you want to have good food, or buy something nice, or buy my leather,
Yeah, and to be fair, sometimes it's just diverting that money, right? Because let's just say that the more you invest, at least for me, the more I started investing in my mental health, I noticed my shopping was going down. I wasn't drinking as much. I was having more phone calls with friends and having expensive dinners with them. So
Yeah.
I did notice that even my budget was changing a little bit too, which is really nice. But again, it's just knowing how your brain works. That's one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
It's almost like starting a fitness routine. If you don't know how your body works, it's so hard to program something with a personal trainer. They don't know your body as good as you do, but you need to go through the process of knowing your body
Yeah.
before you tell a PT, this is really what I need from you. And I feel that's the same thing with a therapist, which is this is how my brain works. So this is a little bit of what I need from you so that I don't get really annoyed at the end of that session or think that was a waste of my time or you don't really understand me, and because it's easy to say you don't really get me, but you have to articulate it to them who you are.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that well, take the time to know yourself, and journaling was my process. And to be honest, the more open you are with your friends, the more open they are with you. It's a back and forth thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when I'm in a good mental place, I'm happy to hear my friends when they're having a bad time, and it won't impact my mental health, which is
Yeah.
really nice. So, sometimes you think like, okay, if I'm in a bad space and I'm not going to be around people, which makes sense, but also they're there to help. But on the flip side, it's also when you're in a good space, ask your friends, how's it going?
Yeah.
Let me take you out. Or you haven't really shown up a lot. Do you mind if we have a phone call or
Yeah.
something? Sometimes our phones, you can actually use it as a phone, right? So sometimes it's nice to call people. Yeah, and that's one thing I actually learned as well, which is, oh, I can call my friends. I can actually have phone calls and talk to them, and that's really exciting when you can be there for other people in their time of need. It just shows how stable, at least for me, it tells me how stable I am, that I can take it on and be there for someone, because it's such a gift when people give it to me. That in the couple of chances where I get to do that for other people, it just feels great, and you build that bond with someone that builds a community that you want to have, right?
Goes back to your first point about being authentic as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And the more you being authentic with your friends,
Mhm.
you attract them more and more, and that's how you build strong relationships. At least how I feel.
Yeah, right. It's that sense of and because you moved around too, so if you appreciate this, but in different countries, how people ask "How are you?" give you different answers. So, for example, because I was raised in Canada and live in Australia, we have this very British way of we use "How are you?" as a greeting, but we don't actually ask the question of "How are you?"
Yeah.
But in other countries, if you were to say "How are you?" they will give you an answer, and then it's like, "Oh, okay, you actually thought that. I was wanting to know something about you."
Yeah.
So so now I make sure when I ask my friends, "What's up? How are you?" I'll ask it a couple of times so that they know, okay, I'm really interested in hearing not what details are happening in your life, but how are you feeling? What are you processing? I know you had that date 2 weeks ago and it didn't go well. How are you feeling about it now? Because sometimes people need to get prompted
Yeah.
to feel. And I'm glad I could be there to help prompt it sometimes, just
Yeah.
because it's so easy to push it in the back of your head and focus on the next person or the next job or the next bar night or wherever you need to get you through. But yeah, sometimes being a good friend is just reminding them you deserve to be asked good questions.
Asking right questions when you are hanging out with people,
Mhm.
how does that change the dynamic?
Yeah, it's about knowing the motivation of the question. And I think one of the reasons when I started wanting to build community, I think my motivations for asking questions weren't coming from a great place. I think they're coming from a place of judgment as opposed to a place of curiosity. So when you judge people saying, "Oh, what's your job? How do you hang out? What do you do on the weekends?" I felt they came from a very judgy place.
This is
Oh,
the South Asian
this is oh
genes
my
in
goodness.
us.
No, I'm so sorry, guys. We're just gonna brown out for a
This
sec.
is the
We're
brown genes in us.
yeah, yeah. No, really, it's almost like I'm getting someone's bio data for context. It's how you do marriage proposals. Yeah, but it's almost like I was. It's almost like I was collecting information to be like, can I marry you?
Yes.
As opposed to me just genuinely being curious about someone, right? So I think when I was able to adapt my why I was asking questions and prompting the right type of questions, when I came from a place of curiosity, I could be more authentic. I could ask weird questions, and I felt like I just got really genuine responses. And I felt it was really helpful with building community because I was prompting in a way that made sense to my spirit, connecting with theirs, as opposed to me asking questions, having good conversation. But really, I was just evaluating them and collecting information from them and then saying, oh, are they people I really want to be around with? And I get that from a survival perspective, which is you want to be around people who are safe, but also you want to have a bit of a banter and a back and forth. And really, all I was doing was asking questions and collecting information. And so it didn't feel like I was really part of the community. I feel I was observing and evaluating from afar if I should be part of it. Um, and I think the reason I was doing that was because often, and again, because we're both brown guys, I feel I can talk about this with you. I think sometimes I feel like the queer community wasn't made for me because even when we talk about body types, they have bears and otters and stuff. I'm like, is there a brown one? Because my body doesn't look like that. So like, I'm not a brown bear. Like, is there one that's like uncle? Like, I guess that's what I have, kind of a little bit of a pouch.
No.
Like, I'm holding myself differently today. No, but really, like, is there really a place for me? There are people that look like me, and I mean, I'm sure you get a lot of messages too because you're one of our, more shining brown faces of the community, right? But there's, I didn't really know how to fit in, so I just assumed that I didn't. And so when I was asking questions and connecting with people, I was just judging almost to reaffirm that these aren't my people.
Mm.
But once I got over myself through journaling and mental health and all the things we talked about, I think once I got over myself and said, no, these can be my people, but I have to make myself curious.
Mm.
And I've got to find the beauty in these people. And the more I wanted to see the beauty in the gay community, I found it because it was all right there. It was all right in front of you. It was just about asking the right questions, including, no, how really are you? Or what made you smile last week? Or what have you learned from that? Or just basic things. And you get to really see the beauty of people and it just shines through. And I think that's what keeps me here. And it keeps me wanting to build community here because there's a lot of beauty with the people I've met here. It's just about eliciting it the way that you can. And I felt that mine was asking the right types of questions.
When you go to these places and hang around with friends, Warren, do you look for people who looks like you?
Yeah, you always want to do a bit of a spice check, right? You just want to look around and say what spices are around, like if people who look like me, and just saying, okay, let me just see people who look like me or people who look like my friends, and yeah, and it's not only color; it's also body size and heights as well, right? Because I'm not only brown, I'm also short. So in Australia, there are a lot of taller guys, right? So like, are there any shorties around? Okay, cool. The place is for me. Yeah, I do it. I think at first, as I mentioned before, I think at first it was, oh, I'm different from these people because I have X, Y, and Z going on for me. And I think after, and also being in my late 30s, thank goodness I'm here in my late 30s because now I feel confident to, when I see another brown guy, I'm not competing with him. I'm not seducing him. I'm acknowledging him and saying, hey, we both deserve to be here. It's like, hey, buddy, how's it going? Or I'll actually physically go and say hi to him, even if I'm not going to have a conversation with him, just to have that connection, and just for him to know too, like, okay, I'm a safe guy. This is good, and we're both coexisting here. Usually in Melbourne, it's only one or two guys. It's not. I don't often go to gay spaces with a lot of brown guys, unless it's built for brown guys, like QSAM. I don't know if you're part of the Queer South Asian community here, but uh, those are when you get a little bit shocked, like, oh gosh, there's so many people who look like me. I'm now overwhelmed, but that happens just once in a while. But predominantly when I go to Laird or Circuit or something, if there's a couple brown guys, I feel excited to be like, okay, I'm not the pioneer. There's other guys that look like me here too, which is great. And I can just share the space with them and it feels comfortable. I know it wasn't always like that. And even growing up, it wasn't always like that. I had to be the pioneer. I had to be the one. I had to be on the cover of the gay magazines, if that makes sense. I don't know if that connects, but whenever they were taking pictures of this is the gay community, I was just kind of in the photo to make other white people feel comfortable that it was inclusive, but it really wasn't inclusive. I was just the brown guy in the picture, but it was just for white people to feel like it was inclusive, but it didn't make brown people feel any better, and that's kind of why I wanted to be in the picture in the first place. That happened a lot in my teens and my 20s. Was being a little bit tokenized, But here I really resist being tokenized whenever I can. So I like to go to different pubs and clubs and whatever, and I try to make sure that there's other brown guys there too. Often I'll just bring them with me.
I think Melbourne is extremely multicultural.
They are.
And Melbourne is multicultural. There's a lot of all sort of people are there. I felt very comfortable going to a lot of places, but I understand how you felt, and I felt the same thing in some of the spaces.
Yeah.
Maybe they are specific to a certain target market, and there's no lot of South Asian, brown guys in those spaces.
Yeah.
And I kept looking for people like me, and then connected with them. It was challenging at the time, but now I'm seeing like after all that, I'm seeing how I feel comfortable to go to any place, even though there's no brown guys or anything. But when I started, I was always looking for people who look like me.
Yeah, you're just doing a bit of a check, right?
Yeah. I think it's good that us being out, doing these things and being visible in spaces that will make a lot of people more comfortable to come to these places as well. Because sometimes, even though I wanted to go, there's a lot of baggage, cultural baggage, which stops me by doing a lot of things.
Yeah, right.
Like 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I passed that now. But there's a lot of people out there, they want to do these things, but they don't feel like they can.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think things will change slowly, hopefully.
They are changing.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, things are changing.
Yeah.
And it's not only changing for people who look like us, but for other people.
Yeah.
Like one thing I've learned about, I know you and I are involved differently in kink communities, but one thing that I think that we do inherently, and this is me complimenting you, but also complimenting myself as well, I guess, is that we remind other races that we're sexy too.
Yeah.
Just by being there.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. Like, for example, when people, like, we're more than just a category on a porn site, like a really hidden category on a porn site, but, we're more than just that. And we're more than just, someone who's only into brown guys. We are sexy, attractive people, and we take up space, and we do it looking great too, right? Yeah. And so the amount of guys I've met here who said like, oh, they'll use it almost like a pickup line. They'll say, oh, I've never been with a brown guy before. And I have to tell them like, oh, me neither. Let's find them together. Like, what am I supposed to do with that information, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, don't hit on me thinking that you're helping me out.
Yeah.
Hit on me because I'm attractive. And my 20s, I had to deal with that a lot. Now I'm so confident in who I am that I just like showing up just to remind other people I look like this, and I feel good, and I look good, and I want you to see that.
When you think of the community that you have around you in Melbourne or Toronto or everywhere in the world, what 3 things come to your mind?
Okay. The first one I have to say is laughing. If I'm not laughing, it's not community for me. So I need to have a lot of fun with them. So everyone is laughing. Number 2 is authenticity, which is a big one. And again, we're all authentic on our own pace, but the more authentic I am with my community, the more it feels more ossified as my community. And I think the third one is timing. Just because we want community doesn't mean it will be there for us at that moment in time. So I think timing's really important too. And also that they show up even when I don't ask. That's really a nice hallmark of community. So I feel that timing is something that's really important for me.
Well, thank you so much for having this conversation and finding time to meet us and having a good time. So yeah, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you out there.
Oh, you will. Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. This has been really important. And I think it's just, I don't know if I represent anything. I know like when I'm in a brown body, sometimes I feel like I have to represent brown guys, but I just like representing myself, and I happen to be a brown guy. So thanks for giving me that space to be me. Thank you for allowing me to be authentic.
That's what we can do. Be who we are and, represent ourselves. And then all these paths, being kinky or like, into all these things or being a brown guy, all these can be represented
exactly
because we are representing us, and that can help anyone else to
Exactly.
be who they are.
Exactly.
So yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yay!